And the perceived usefulness should be really great because it could prevent you having to lose all your assets. When we tried to introduce that into the township, we gave them for free. My wife works in the townships, and when a fire hit Nasibu Mramba Site 5, half of the children's houses were lost. So she obtained funding, donations to buy these devices and to make them for free to the families that were affected and other families. And they rejected the solution. We did research afterwards why they rejected the solution. It had to do with issues of trust, of introduction, of the unknown, the way it was introduced, a whole lot of other issues. So the point is that we cannot use models that come from the global north and just try and see that these theoretical models work in Africa. So the question related to page 22, you state that time and TRA models introduce factors, and you talk about the embedded benefits, ease of use, participatory design, performance expectancy. But we found those factors actually are not the key factors. It's social norms, the ability to use a phone, the cost of the intervention, demonstrability. So why did you pick on the ones that, why did you not include the typical factors that are applicable in African society rather than the ones that we import from the West, from the global north?
Yeah, what I think this also apply in Africa. For example, they show the costing everywhere. If the technology is expensive, based on the income of the targeted users, actually they will not use. Then about the, let's say, as we said, they are easy to use. If you apply even in Africa, if something is difficult to use, actually they will not use. They trust it. Yeah, if something has been brought to them, they don't know where it has come, what will be benefit for them. I think they are also applying in Africa.
They do also apply, but other factors may be more important.
Yeah, actually in Africa, let's say in Africa they apply, but it can be more than that. For example, the issue of, let's say, the level of skills. See, somewhere else, let's say, level of skills cannot be an issue, but in Africa, that is an issue. See, talking about the language, let's say in other countries, let's say, United Kingdom, everybody can speak, let's say, English there. But in African countries, you know that some of the countries, even the one country has more than 3 languages. Yeah. You see?
So that's why it's important to link to the theory and to bring back and feedback and create additional theory, not just to take, refer to a town model, but actually take it on board and say it's too limited. Yeah. Okay. It's all over the thesis, but sort of just to quote, the whole purpose of you taking the accounting and the bookkeeping application, I mean, there's no usefulness to be derived from keeping records unless it influences the decision. I could ask the audience here, from now onwards, you all have not enough money at the end of the month. Why don't you keep track of your expenses and your income? The keeping track is not going to change anything, maybe make them aware of what they're spending the money on. But unless it changes the decision at the month to say, oh, I'm spending too much money on this, I should stop going out so often, or I should stop going to restaurants, or I should drive the car less, or whatever it is. So unless there's a business decision component or element in the app, asking the street traders to keep track of their transactions is meaningless. So the question I have is that there's no evidence whatsoever in the entire thesis that there is a link to better decision making by the street traders. They're recording the transactions, but they're not making better decisions. In fact, the app has got not really, apart from the charts, which I'll come to later on, there's no real business decision support element in it. So it is not really helping them with the crucial thing, which is making better decisions so to improve their life. It is just asking them to keep track of records. And I'll come back to that as well later on. But that is a big sacrifice to make if there's no benefit, tangible benefits. Record keeping for the sake of record keeping is not very useful, I would think. So how will they help? How did it make their life better?
The app has come because what we know that the app will enable traders to make a viable business decision. For example, we found that some of the traders who participated in the workshops, they said that usually they do city trading not all over the year. Sometimes they are in a city trade, sometimes they go to agriculture. Now we ask them, which month you think, which month do you get more? The city is paying more than agriculture. Actually, they don't know. They say that sometimes I decided to go to agriculture, sometimes I go to city trading. Now, if they can go to their application and see the months in which profit are higher, then they could concentrate those months in business, and those months in which profit is low, is very low, then they can go to agriculture. And then the line of the products, they are selling different products. Which products give you more profit than others? Actually, they don't know. But by using application, a city trader will know a product which is giving him more profit than others. Therefore, put emphasis on those products that are more profitability than those which were not profitability. Then the app enables the trader to see the profit daily, weekly, and monthly. Now, if we wanted to decide to change it, when they decide to change the line of business, let's say moving from city trade to another type of trade, then you really to look back, which month have I gotten the huge profit or not. And then the app does not only allow the business only in checking the performance of business, but also allow them to set a reasonable selling price. When you put the product there, the purchase price and the business expenses, automatically the app will suggest to you the selling price. See? And
I'm not convinced of that. I think we first of all underestimate how smart they are. If your livelihood depends on living off the shoes or the bananas you're selling, I think you pretty well know that in this season there are fewer bananas, the bananas are more expensive, or there are few people buying from me, and they know fully well that they're making not enough money or too much money. I think we underestimate the intelligence, the natural intelligence of these city traders, and we overestimate the value of what monthly sales means for them, or what the profit overall means, and the capability of negotiating prices. The app can say whatever price they want to. If the people they're selling to is not prepared to pay that, or if the person standing next to you is selling bananas at 5 shillings less, then the app is pretty useless. I'm not convinced of that decision that it enabled better decisions, but I've got something against accountants in general, so maybe that influences a bit my view there. Unless you want to explicate that further, I would like to ask about the benefits of the intercultural team. So I think you put your finger right on the point that it is very necessary to have intercultural teams when you're designing solutions for complex situations. So, for instance, too many decisions do get made, or programs get designed by geeks or by committees constituting of white males, senior males that don't understand the women or the youngsters or the marginalized groups. So in those cases, intercultural decisions and intercultural teams are, multidisciplinary teams are very important. However, when you're designing an app for Tanzanian street traders, and then you expound on the benefit of having a Ghanaian programmer or a Finnish programmer and a Ghanaian co-worker with you, what benefits does the Finnish programmer and the Ghanaian person bring to the research effort? I mean, do we need the perspective of the Finnish and the Ghanaian people to design a solution there, or would it not have been better to engage a Tanzanian programmer if there were one available and another Tanzanian local researcher? Because the culture and the benefits go the other way. The Finnish people and the Ghanaian benefits from the experiences, as you pointed out in some of these quotes. It provides a unique learning experience for the project participants. But the street traders don't benefit. Maybe they benefit from the quality of the Finnish design, programming design, but not really from the Finnish culture or from the Ghanaian culture. So I'm wondering about this benefit of the intercultural team that you mentioned several times in your pieces for the app, for the artifact, and for the research.
Yeah, I think the mixture of those cultures enable learning. You know, we different experience, we different level of technological know-how. Therefore, I think when we combine the two, the quality of the artifact which will come up will be high, because it will come up with the experience which has been collected from the different cultures, experiencing the level of technological know-how, and even learning, even the local people over there who are going to benefit from that particular application, they get the learning. Therefore, the output which will be obtained there, the designer will benefit, the researcher will benefit, and even the output which will come there will be of high quality. That's how we say that they benefit from it. And I have come across some of the artifacts that have been developed there. I remember one is from Congo, the northern part of Congo, which has been developed by the foreigners, which ended by being rejected by the people. They thought that this has been brought for them by them. We are not no one from us has turned involved to design this. That's why I say that even the level of acceptability, the level of acceptability increases because we see that they have been participated in this particular design.
Okay, you actually pointed out that there are different types of street traders, and my question is, like, I want to give some examples. For instance, some people sell perishable products like bananas.
Yeah.
So these bananas, if they don't sell them, eventually they rot, and then you've got to discard them. Or sometimes they may even take some of the bananas for own production.
Yes.
So the app doesn't really cater for reduction in inventory. The app also doesn't cater for where some item, I buy 5 shoes or whatever it is, or 5 artifacts, 5 products, and they're all the same product line. Tomorrow, I've got 3, I sell 2, I've got 3 left. Tomorrow, I buy 2 more or 3 more, but the price is slightly different. It's gone up, it's gone down. Again, with agricultural produce, the prices can daily fluctuate. So the app, again, doesn't allow for costing. How do you take into account the change in cost price of a little item? And then at the other extreme, you have the case where each of the products that the street trader sells is a different item altogether, maybe with a different, I'm not quite sure where the shoes fall in that case, but each shoe's got a different cost price, each one with a different look or a feel. Not quite so, but so where the range of products is really large and there are almost as many inventory items as you have products. So how does the app allow for this diversity in product lines or types of street trade?
Yeah, I think that is a matter of the business skills. When you take your own products to sell, in business, that's not a free product. You need it to be quoted with a price. Even if it's your products, your own products you go to sell in a particular application, we told them that you needed to put the price of it. For example, we know that some of the secretaries they are producing these vegetables, and sometimes they sell. Now, when they go to the business, everything in business has a price. And when let's say we have they sell perishable goods like made like banana and whatever, sometimes the price they can't sell, that's needed to be recorded as expenses. And recorded as expenses in the particular business.
Now I've got I think probably my most important question coming up. So I'll frame it carefully. And I hope you understand the question. Okay? So let's assume that all the people here are street traders. And I want all the people here to imagine they are street traders. And I go to them and I try and find out what they want or what their needs are. And they come back to me with needs. They say like, we identify, and you have several work groups from academics, you have themselves, street traders asking, what do you want? You want education, they want to be able to plan, they want to be able to promote the products. And you have a wonderful, I actually really want to compliment you on the really you did in terms of uncovering all these needs and the potential DSRs later on, the potentials for artifact design, anything from your client-customer relationship for learning, online learning, mobile learning. So you have beautiful needs solicitation. You have wonderful ideas for potential products to come up for mobile apps that could help them really elevate to a level. I mean, like at the end, you give beautiful ideas for future research, and some hopefully postdocs listening or doctoral students listening in will look at these ones. Weather information, advisory applications, training, electronic business management. There's beautiful apps there. When you ask them specifically about bookkeeping, the one thing that's out is that they don't perceive a benefit from bookkeeping. Okay? There's a lot of work involved, and what is the benefit? And now, if everybody here imagines, I'm a poor person trying to make ends meet just above the survival line. I'm trying to make ends meet. And then I give all these ideas, and I've got all these needs. And then you go forward and you say, okay, I'm going to create a bookkeeping app for you. To me, it seems a complete mismatch between the needs of the community and what you create for them. Why did you create a bookkeeping app? Is it because of your financial background? Is it because it's so easy to program a bookkeeping app and all the other ones are a lot more difficult to do? In fact, so when you state that the bookkeeping app was motivated by the fact that it's easy to design an app within this framework. So the need would be the last thing I would need if I'm in that target group. And yet that's the solution you chose to design.
Yeah, why bookkeeping?
Why bookkeeping?
Yes. There are many reasons why we choose bookkeeping. First of all, the lack of record keeping is a cause of many other problems facing the city traders. We thought that the big bookkeeping is big because if you lack the record keeping, then you can't access the form of finance. In some of the literature said that these city traders take a loan from the personals, from the individuals, in which the interest is very high, sometimes greater than their profit. And when they face financial institutions, they face two restrictions. Can you evidence the performance of your business? No. Another one is collateral. Now we thought that having down the business, the recorded business transaction, the performance over a period of time, then to them is easy to access finance. Second, the bookkeeping which has been presented here, it is a contextualized bookkeeping. It is more than the normal bookkeeping which we used to know in finance. For example, I pointed earlier that our pre-result from the paper 1 and paper 2 has shown that most of the city traders cannot set a reasonable selling price. They take the buying price and they add a small margin over there, and then they claim this is a profit, while actually it is not a profit because the business expenses has not been taken into account. But through this application, then they can set a reasonable selling price because the price suggested there, it has taken into account the business expenses. Therefore, we thought that if someone is selling on the street over a period of years and it does not transform the lives, because the price which it is setting is not reasonable. Then we need to help him to tackle this one. Then another reason is why bookkeeping. It is because bookkeeping accounting is more professional than compared with other. Of course, it requires more professionalism when you compare to other business skills like entrepreneurship or let's say marketing. Therefore, found that if them in order them to enable to do the records, they're supposed to go to the class and being taught all those principles of accounting and whatever. But if we make an application for record keeping, for bookkeeping, then this will help them. And then we found that some of these other challenges facing the city traders, like the skills, the marketing, there are some existing initiatives and applications that are tackling those problems. That's why we decided to focus on the bookkeeping.
It would be good to put that more explicitly in the thesis, I think, in the decision to make that. So the three main sources of products identified, you've got the wholesaler there, and the Malikali. A bit later on in the thesis, you also talk about the essential importance of looking not just at street trader, but also the ecosystem in which they live and operate, which is very important if you want to expand the application. And so in the initial participatory workshops, the vendors and the customers and all the other stakeholders were not included. It was just the street vendors. So in terms of soliciting the problem and explication of the requirements, would it not have been useful to involve those, particularly with emphasis on not just the user interface design, but actually looking at the process, which goes from what happens when I buy, what happens when I hold stock, what happens when I sell it, what happens when I then have to repay or replenish stock, or when I have to return stock or repay the vendor, what happens when I take money out, borrow money from somebody else. But so the process involved is not modeled very well in the application. In fact, it's not mentioned in terms of the process design, just at the user interface design. So why were stakeholders not involved, and why was no emphasis placed on the process of buying, selling, the whole value add process?
Yeah, in this particular project, the stakeholders involved there were the business lecturers. Business lecturers, because this application is bookkeeping application. Bookkeeping has been right from accounts. Therefore, we thought that we needed the expertise on how the accounting work, how the accounting for sole trader like a city is look like. We didn't involve the wholesalers because the matter of record keeping is for the purpose of a trader, and the wholesaler has nothing to do with those, except for those who are, let's say, are giving the products on credit. But if I were, let's say, about it to deal with the marketing and application, then I could involve the customers, because marketing is interaction between the customers and the suppliers. But record keeping, recording for whom? Recording for a street trader. That's why we thought that there were no need to involve the wholesalers. But if we were designing a specific app for a credit purpose, for example, those who are buying the goods on the money account, then automatically the wholesaler could be involved because they wanted to see how much this guy is making. But we thought that the bookkeeping is a recording for a street trader. Yes, the street participating. Then we thought, who is another stakeholder? We needed the expertise in business, the lecturers. That's why we included them.
I would have excluded the business lecturers, academics, and accountants, and I would have included the wholesaler, because the wholesaler, or the finance people, because you could ask them, what information do you need to know from the street trader before you give them money? The wholesaler could say, like, how many products, if they buy so many products from you, will they be able to negotiate a discount wholesale discount. So I think there would be more benefit for involving the stakeholders on the ground, the entire value chain, rather than academics. I'm speaking against my own discipline here. One of the workshops was offered to computer science students. I think it links in with the previous question. Why would computer science students and lecturers know more about the apps than the vendors themselves, the people on the ground? How do you make, because now you've got to tell them about the situation and then make them think. And especially because one of your street traders is actually a college student. So not all street traders are illiterate. You know, some of these street traders are very knowledgeable, and they know a lot about what technology could offer them.
Yeah, all of them have been involved. All of them have been involved. Even the street traders, if you check on the first workshop, we explained to them our purpose and asked them if this mobile phone is providing to you the records, what do you want it to look like? See, but the question to them were asked in different ways compared with the computer science students because of the literacy level. You know, some of the city traders have never even used any application of the mobile phones, but if they were involved, they were asked, what do you want to see? If we provided to you such a kind of application, what do you want to see from that applications? And we said that sometimes we use the examples from the mobile money. You know, if the mobile money, if you do this, if you do this. Now you want it to make something like that. What do you want it to see? That they are also important.
Is the app open source? Why not? The data open source with open research would be nice to have, but I think there are institutional constraints on that one, with the ethics principles. But the source code of your application should at least be open source so that somebody else can improve, can translate it from Swahili to Isixhosa or whatever, Zulu, some other local language, edit it, maybe add new icons. Why did you not make the source code open source?
I think the one which has been presented here is not a full product for commercialization, which is an artifact which can be easily connected to a full application that I think so, because this is an academic and not getting a commercial perspectives, and we have been recommended as area for future studies to make this one full-fledged for commercialization. I think so, but now it's not yet in the public.
It's not open to the public.
The application, I mean the application, yeah.
Source code is not available to the public.
And they will recommended here that the future researchers may upgrade it to the full application. I don't know if the language uses is different, but we upgrade to the full application.
So future researchers, if they don't belong to the University of Finland, cannot access the code. So you should make the code available to everyone and open it up and allow them to take the code and make a better product, improve one. Yeah? So it should be open source. That's what I would hope to see. I've got a problem with the use of participatory design and later on co-creation. Okay, I'm going to go from my question in one here. So to me, that is all requirements analysis which any good software design product will do. They will always be used for the requirements. And when they design an application, it will give them some choices on interface design. To me, participatory design goes much further, where they take part in the entire design process of the application. And co-creation is even further, where they actually don't only take part of the entire design, but they also take part of the creation of the artifact. So why do you use the words participatory design and co-creation if their input was limited to just selecting and creating icons?
I think it's more than selecting an icon, because even the requirements has been obtained from the citizens,
but they always come from the requirements.
Then the icons of the functions, the functions, we want price function, where the profit functions, where the stock flow. It came from the city traders.
As a user requirements, functional user requirements.
Then the demonstration, who want to have given to use it for it is okay or not or something being are the city traders. I think the city trader has been scripted only in the design, in writing the programs in which actually we don't use them because of the level skill on the table. But from the beginning, the idea came from them, the application demonstrated to them, applications being used to them, everything has been obtained to them. They were only scripted only in a programming. Therefore, to me, I think they have been used more than any proposing icons.
To me, co-creation would be where the design, the program would sit together with the people side to side and develop application as we go on. I mean, maybe that's a matter of semantics. You know, but like an example of co-creation, and to me it is, you know, interpret. And I'm wondering what steam traders think that this means. And if I change the units, I multiply everything by 2, I make twice as much profit, but the graph looks exactly the same, the lines look exactly the same. So to me, it is not a very intuitive information for making decisions or learning what has happened. Here's another one. I've got a list of products, and I can choose any product, and I can choose any time period, and I've got these lines. I'm wondering what sort of decisions I can make with this as a semi-literate or even illiterate person from a chart like that. I mean, normally we would take pie charts or something like that, visual, you know, number of coins or stacks of bills or something like that. But the line chart, and specifically flat ones with colors, with they you know, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if you understand my question, but to me, the screen design, co-creation would have contributed towards that as well. But, you know, how did steam traders react to this information, to these screens? What did they learn from this, and how did they use this information to make decisions?
Yeah, perhaps the language there can be a problem. But for example, this particular screen which is shown there, it is a history. And this is a history for the all products, product number 1, absolutely America, whatever, and others. Then to show that the total expenses used here, I mean the purchases plus the business expenses, 1556,000. And the gross sales so far at that particular product time is 12,653. That's the sales that has been made up to that particular product time. And the last one is a Jumla, which is a total to show that it is a loss because some of the product has not yet been sold. But if once the products are being, the red line over there, red line will show the costing, while the blue line is showing the revenue. As the revenue increase, then the blue line get high, and then automatically, if the revenue are greater than the expenses, then the blue line will be at the top one.
We saw one banana, one bunch, 1 kilo. So there are no units really in terms of what. So a point I already made earlier, but I just want to re-emphasize that evaluation is a very, very important, probably the most important part of the design science research. And again, you know, was this the entire evaluation, just making some phone calls and then finding out what those issues were? Same for then the second iteration that you referred to, where you improve this. You know, that is what you wrote in the piece. There's only information about the second improvement process. We just focused on the last, the redesign there. Yeah, is that sufficient, you think? Evaluation and and iteration.
Yeah, we have pointed out one application of this particular research is regarding evaluation. Most of our evaluation which has been presented in this particular research is ex ante and artificial evaluation. Means that the evaluation has been done before the products being actually in the field. But however, the initial findings show that they can use it. That's why we presently included. Evaluation of an artifact can be of two types. You can evaluate the product's quality in the laboratory and also you can evaluate the product's quality is now actually using the post-art which is the natural evaluations. And that's why you have been pointed as one of the limitation of this particular research. But the tool has been improved while the product it is still in a house.
If I link to that, and this is a very difficult question. So we look at the street traders, and most of them say, in fact, none of them said that they were able to base future decisions on the information provided. So we provided with a record bookkeeping system that didn't allow them to make decisions. Only 10 out of 15 used it productively and all were able to report transactions, but none of them reported. Do you consider the artifact that you created a success or a failure or something in between? And I want to stress very carefully that most ICD-4D projects are a failure and should be a failure, but we should learn from what we failed. So it's not a value judgment on a project that didn't work out because it's not used. But it is important to be upfront to the literature and academic community, and also to be honest saying it didn't work, we've got to try something else. So my answer is, was it a success, a failure, something in between?
Yeah, to me, this is a good success because everything has steps. You can do one project and immediately after finishing the one project, you realize that something else needed to be kept here in order to move forward. We found that this now, what the city data wanted, it is now possible. Yes, they can see the profit weekly, monthly, daily. They can set it a reasonable selling price. They can see the stock flow. Yes, but it's something else needed there. What is it? Education. Education. Yes, you give somebody a profit for 5 months. Then what? Education is needed. Analysis of the profit per given period of time. He can see the stock volume per time. See, now analysis of the stock valuation skills. Therefore, that's why we recommended that the future research should focus on education technologies, which will enable now the city traders to make many decisions regarding the output of obtaining from this particular product. Therefore, to me, I say that this is a good success, but it's something as something more needed to be kept there.
You mentioned, I think we've discussed that question already, but I think it would have been, if compared in the last final stage to some of the artifacts of evaluation, you haven't compared the outcomes of your intervention or your artifact usability to the, you mentioned them, say, these were the ones I've done, but there was nowhere to mention of whether your outcomes were any better or any others. So, another comment I've got is that you referred to successful M4D projects like mobile money. I don't think mobile money was a M4D or ICD4D project. It was a business venture launched by very large organizations, not with the intention to aid development, but to make money. So it's not, I cannot see it as a successful M4D or ICD4D project. It was a successful business innovation. It was not meant to aid development in Africa. It was just meant to make as much money as possible in Africa, benefit the markets. The common challenges of street traders, like lack of skills, financial exclusion, lack of market access, informality, lack of business registration, could largely be solved by ICT, that you write on page 95. I'm getting close to the end of the thesis, by the way. Is this not an over-optimistic technicist view or a computer science view that we could solve the problems of lack of skills and exclusion and market access using technology? Is it not really that we've got to solve the social issues and the structural issues, and then technology may help as a facilitator, but not as a major solving? I would not be too techno-optimist there.
Yeah, I think it's true.
Coming back to scalability, so and sustainability actually. So issues such as training, maybe you give training to all the speed traders before they could use the app, and then training them on learning how to use it. So if you want to scale the app to other users, and even if you want to sustain, so you need to, where's this training going to come from? Who's going to give the training to the speed traders who help each other? If you want to scale to other countries, how easily was the app designed that you just plug in translation, selling, and so on? And then obviously incorporating speeching the interface. Any comments on adding those features?
Yeah, I agree.
The findings are useful for government, politicians, and policymakers because they provide inputs for urban planning, empowerment, skills development, and then also more of that. In what way do you think that's significant?
Yeah. The government is trying several times to empower the educators. Many initiatives have been done. Some of them have failed. For example, I can cite one example where the government has used millions of money to build the 5-story, billions of money in Dar es Salaam. Not only in Dar es Salaam, even in Zimbabwe, something has been like this has been done, so that the educators will go there to do business. Unfortunately, in Dar es Salaam, they refuse to go there today. They seem to Zimbabwe and other countries have happened. Now, because some of things were not scientifically studied in the present today, but this one particular research has a useful result so that can be implemented by the policymakers, by the decision makers, can help to empower the city traders. For example, let's say, want to put one example. For example, we had a question on the city traders, the perception about it. What do they want? So the finding from such kind of question is useful for the decision makers. For those who are responsible for the city traders, for the ministries, for the organs, for those sections that are responsible for the city traders, if they use these findings usefully, then we could make a step ahead for the power.
I think similarly, we've answered that question already, but again, the contribution to science, the way it's written up, you talk about these papers, and none of these state computer lecturers or business lecturers, the importance of the ecosystem taking into account who they buy from, who they sell to, and the reason for starting the project was co-creation, and maybe the different terminology or interpretation of what co-creation means, but I'm not sure that always there. I don't know if it was meant like that, but so one of the objectives that you point out there, and both in lack of research, but also in terms of motivating some of the research, is that you can use ICT in formalizing the informal economy. Should we really be doing that as ICT for new researchers, trying to force them into the formal economy?
Yeah, I think that there is several initiatives which have been done in all developing countries to formalize the informal sector. You know that operating in informal environment is very difficult. Now the government has tried to formalize, but several times when they formalize, they put those initiatives, they fail. That's why I see what the technology can do, what the information technology is doing. I think it has opportunities to be used in formalized reform economies. That's why also we have been pointed that the future research may try to see how the technology can be used to contextualize it to formalize it.
Do street traders want to be formalized? Did you ask them? Would they like to be more formalized? So the street traders, they want to be part of the formal economy and be taxed and regulated in addition to having access to finance.
Street traders, they want to be formalized, but there is a misconceptions. There is an article which is clearly explained. Formalization, not necessarily being taxing people. You can formalize without taxing people. But when people hear about formalization, they think that is something which should go hand in hand with taxing. But you can formalize without taxing people. But many people think that they want to formalize, they will take money.
So that's it from our side. So, thank you very much for granting me that opportunity. I'm very, very impressed with the responses. I mean, these were very difficult questions. And like I said in my opening statement, I'm very impressed with the research, the scoping, the nature of the research, the research methodology that was taken, the decision by which the full process, the DSR process, was executed. It is a very good contribution to research, despite my question, just probing to see whether we understood that right. I'm glad I was not sitting in that chair. I was not being very gentle today. But I truly believe that it's very worthy that I would recommend. If anyone wishes to make any comments concerning my dissertation, please ask the pastors to the floor. I declare the examination closed. Thank you. Guys, for free, repeat after there. You're welcome.